seen 2 police cars there. And as I got out of my van, I started running towards his house, and I seen him laying on the ground.
Tonight, a community divided. 5 shootings, 1 fatal, has band members worried about their future. A young Mi'kmaq fisher is trying to test the waters of Canadian law to enforce his right to feed his community.
Just to be representing not only my family but every Indigenous kid in Canada, it's truly an honor.
And Connor Roulette of the WHL Seattle Thunderbirds is off to the upcoming World Under-18 tournament. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. A series of shootings on a First Nation in Alberta have residents concerned. 1 man was fatally shot by RCMP, and 4 victims were injured in a non-RCMP-related shooting. As Tamara Pimentel reports, community members say more needs to be done to prevent these incidents from happening.
Shots fired.
This video was taken by a member of the Ochese First Nation shortly after a 24-year-old man was fatally shot by RCMP. Lena Firth says that man was her grandson, Trent Firth, who she says she raised since he was 4 years old.
It's been very scary. People are afraid.
In a release, Rocky Mountain House RCMP said officers were responding to a complaint of a disturbance at a residence on April 3rd. When they arrived, they encountered a known individual who went back into the home, closing the door. It said police checks confirmed that the individual had outstanding warrants. The man then exited the home with this axe, and a confrontation ensued. The officer discharged several rounds from his service pistol, striking the man. He was pronounced deceased on scene. By the time Lena Firth arrived to her grandson's home, Trent was already on the ground.
But I seen 2 police cars there, and as I got out of my van, I started running towards his house, and I seen him laying on the ground. He didn't have a shirt on.
She admits Trent was known to police and says his actions may have been a result of fetal alcohol syndrome.
He was very quiet, but as he grew older, like he was FASD. When he got tested, they found out he was brain damaged a little bit. He's quiet, but he's been in trouble with the police for about a year maybe.
RCMP say they can't comment on this incident as it's being investigated by the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team.
Right now everybody is in a sad state and very emotional.
Ochese resident Douglas Bonays says community members are on edge because after this incident, 3 shootings occurred within an hour on April 5th on both the Sunchild and Ochese First Nations. It wasn't police related, but 4 men were injured and are now in stable condition. 28-year-old Keith Beaverbones and 19-year-old Zachary Yellowface have both been charged with 4 counts of attempted murder. RCMP say they can't comment on this event either as it's before the court. But members here say this could have been prevented.
We have a lot of people that are crying out for help. We have a lot of people that are wondering what to do, where to go.
Darcy Goodrunning says young people on reserve need more support. He says before the pandemic, he and Bonays ran classes on traditional songs and dance to keep youth off the streets and connected to their culture. But now,
we don't have no powwows anywhere. Round dances also, that's been put on hold. So what is there for the youth to do out here? What is there for the people to do?
Too much of this has been happening, too much. And we can blame everybody, even the government, but you know, there's no jobs here for nobody. There's nothing here.
While Bonays and Goodrunning call for better services and a better relationship between RCMP and First Nations, Firth seeks answers about her grandson's death.
What I don't understand is why did they have to shoot him like that? They could have tased him, but they shot him.
APTN reached out to the Ochis Chief and Council for comment. We were unable to reach them. Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Ochis First Nation.
To the East Coast now, where a Mi'kmaq fisherman is under investigation for fishing snow crab off the eastern coast of Nova Scotia, not to earn a moderate livelihood, but to provide food for his community under the Sparrow decision. Angel Moore explains.
Last weekend, Robert Sillyboy of Sabaganagati First Nation and his crew dropped 10 traps in the deep waters of the Atlantic Ocean in hopes of catching snow crab for his community while a Coast Guard vessel was nearby.
Crab's pretty expensive. How many people on a reserve do you think could actually afford to go out and buy it? And it dawned on me, there's no way you can actually eat crab as a Mi'kmaq person unless you go to a store and buy it, and I think that's absolutely wrong.
Sillyboy informed the Department of Fisheries he was fishing snow crab under the Sparrow decision, a Supreme Court of Canada ruling in 1990 that upheld the Aboriginal right to fish for food purposes. But 2 traps were missing before they returned to shore.
And they're taking our traps so we can't fish, and they're stopping us from providing for ourselves, for our own food. So yeah, we went out to challenge that and to show kind of what we're up against.
Chief Mike Sack wrote a letter in support of the food fishery. It said Sillyboy will be fishing crab for food social ceremonies on behalf of Sabaganagati First Nation. Because the 2 traps were seized, Chief Sack is considering legal action.
They completely overstepped now. It's very well documented in court and such, so we have a right to that food social ceremonial, on the land or the sea. And I think DFO really slipped up on this one. And
Sillyboy's brother, Mike Willis, has been fishing for about the last 6 years.
It's in our right. We're here doing what we're supposed to be doing. There's nothing wrong with it.
It's Sillyboy's boat, but Alan Corporon is aboard because he's a licensed captain. He has mentored Sillyboy for the last 3 years. He's Acadian and supports the Mi'kmaq fishery, which has sometimes made him the target of fellow Acadians.
Not as bad as the natives have. People call us names, but I just walk away and ignore it.
The traps came up empty. Fishing under the constant watch of the feds is a distraction to a successful catch.
I promised the community a feed, so I'm a man of my word. I'm going back out, but I guess it's back to the drawing board right now.
The trip out to sea took over 24 hours and cost about $4,000. But Sillyboy and his crew will continue to fish because when he does, the community will have a feast. Angel Moore, APTN National News, East Coast of Nova Scotia.
On Vancouver Island, BC, a protest against logging old-growth forests is growing. But those protesters do not have the support of the First Nation who has title to the land. Earlier this month, the courts granted an injunction for logging company Teal Jones to gain access to Fairy Creek, where their operations are taking place. Yesterday, Pacheedaht First Nation released a statement against outside activism. For 8 months, protesters set up blockades near Port Renfrew, protecting the Fairy Creek watershed. New blockades with over 100 people were set up after an injunction was granted by the BC Supreme Court. Last week, Teal Jones served the injunction at various sites. The protesters include Pacheedaht Elder William Jones. But First Nations leadership stated they determined how their forestry is used, and outside involvement is not welcome. The Indigenous Affairs Committee once again continued its study of Bill C-15. It's the legislation that wants to make sure the laws of Canada are in agreement with the UN's Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And once again, Conservative members of Parliament expressed worry that the new law will amount to a veto over resource development.
When a First Nation says no to a project, does that mean it's dead? Or does the government have the authority to make a final decision?
this is not removing any authority and powers. But what it is doing is saying we want to end the process of this very colonial approach to taking Indigenous people's lands, supporting projects and developments on those lands without their consent, engagement, and involvement.
We'd like to hear your thoughts on Bill C-15. Here's how you can continue the conversation. You can send your emails to news@aptn.ca or leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Time to step aside now for a quick break. Still to come, the opening of a new cultural centre in the Toronto area.
And I hope this centre can serve as a gathering place for children and for youth and caregivers and parents, as well as elders and seniors. Perhaps even all together. Isn't it wonderful when we bring all these people together?
Welcome back. The Quebec government says cultural sensitivity training for public servants will be kicked off in the next few weeks. And it's good timing since demand for these workshops is at an all-time high. As reported on Nouvelle Nationale this week, Indigenous-led organizations are inundated with new requests. Here's the story by Shushan Bacon, translated and read by Lindsay Richardson.
The video of Joyce Echaquan's death created shockwaves in society. But with it came calls for change. Lydia Larivière is the director of Mikana, an organization that offers cultural sensitivity training on Indigenous issues. She says demand for these workshops has spiked since the events of last October.
C'est clair que quand il y a une tragédie, c'est comme un coup de poing d'en face. Puis les gens se rappellent vraiment de l'importance de se sensibiliser. C'est dommage que justement certaines personnes attendent justement ces tragédies-là, justement pour prendre action. Mais ceci dit, bon, c'est ça. Il y a quand même une prise de conscience généralisée.
Les jeunes offrent leur image, l'image qu'ils perçoivent de leur communauté.
In the current social climate, Larivière says Indigenous-led organizations are being sought out for quick help to address issues with systemic racism. Mikana is so busy, they're being forced to turn down new workshop requests for the next few months.
Puis il fallait comme aussi vérifier avec d'autres organismes autochtones à qui on voulait référer puis qui nous répondaient qu'ils étaient aussi débordés. Bref, fait que ça a comme créé cette espèce de débalancement-là, mais ça démontre tout simplement là, vraiment l'urgence et le besoin d'éducation et de sensibilisation.
Wapikani Mobile, a Quebec-based arts organization, also offers virtual cultural sensitivity workshops. They too say demand is rising. And though their workshops target mostly students, more and more adults are registering to take them.
Je sais que les publics un peu plus âgés, ils étaient zéro au courant de toutes les réalités autochtones qui étaient qu'on a vécues justement. Donc, les réactions, des fois, sont vraiment comme qu'ils se sentent un peu mal de nous avoir fait vivre certaines choses.
Except it's not a one-and-done deal. Larivière says the workshops are meant to plant seeds in people's minds in hopes of creating a gradual shift in society.
La formation, c'est une première étape. C'est une première étape. Ensuite, il doit y avoir un plan d'action pour emmener des changements dans le milieu. Fait que c'est ça, un rappel que finalement, c'est ça, l'atelier et la formation n'est pas une finalité en soi.
A story by Shushan Bacon, APTN National News, Wendoge, Quebec.
The urban Indigenous population in the Scarborough neighbourhood of Toronto now has access to a new cultural facility. Native Child and Family Services of Toronto hosted a virtual grand opening to celebrate the new site. Here's Annette Francis with that story.
And then I will welcome everybody back. I will say my introductory comments. At the end of that, I'm going to say now we're going to hear from Michelle Miyawasaki.
Jeffrey Schiffer and Michelle Miyawasaki practice with a quick run-through before opening the new Malvern Aboriginal Child and Family Centre. Due to pandemic restrictions, the center had to go virtual, starting with the traditional smudge and prayer and a pre-recorded drum opening before the speeches.
So this is going to be a multi-service community hub. A core of this program is an early on center funded through Journey Together, and that's what you can see behind me. But we also offer a number of other services here. We have youth supports, clinical supports, we have a food security programming, and then we're going to see a number of community and cultural events like community kitchens.
Schiffer says the new center will serve as a community gathering place. The multi-service agency will address the needs of approximately 200 Native children and families in Scarborough. Mwasige says it's been a long time coming.
It's important because the Native community needs stuff. They need, it's about building community. It's about realizing what was lost and connecting to that again, to finding people, to finding oneself, because identities have been lost.
Toronto's Mayor John Tory joined the event to congratulate everyone on their hard work and commitment.
And I hope this center can serve as a gathering place for children and for youth and caregivers and parents, as well as elders and seniors. Perhaps even all together. Isn't it wonderful when we bring all these people together to foster and to protect a strong sense of community for those living in the Scarborough community?
The ceremony ended with a woman's hand drum song. According to Mwasige, all programs being offered are virtual right now, but everyone is excited for the day when they can come and see the new center for themselves. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Scarborough.
Well, time now for another quick break. Coming up, a hockey player from Mississippistick Cree Nation set to play on the global stage.
All the people that have helped me get to where I am, and just really looking forward to getting there and playing.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Our viewer Brad Profoot sent us this great view along the Stein Valley trailhead near Lytton, British Columbia. The shot was taken in the early evening. And a beautiful shot indeed. If you haven't sent us a picture yet, you can by sending your photos to share@aptn.ca with a chance to be our next photo of the day. Time now to take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the east coast, +4 with showers for St. John's, 9 with rain in Halifax. -6 and sunny in Inukjuak, 2 below with snow for Kuujjuaq. 18 in Montreal, 15 in Saguenay. 5 with snow in Sault Ste. Marie, 13 with showers in North Bay. +9 with rain in Thunder Bay, 2 with a rain-snow mix in Sioux Lookout. -6 in Churchill, showers and 0 for God's Lake. 0 and snow for Winnipeg and Gimli, 3 in Barons River. +1 in Regina, 6 and sunny for Saskatoon. 9 with the sun out in Meadow Lake, 4 in La Ronge. Over in northern Alberta, 14 for Peace River and Grand Prairie. 8 with snow in Medicine Hat, 13 with the sun out for Edmonton. 15 and sunny in Vancouver, 18 with the sun out for Victoria. 13 and sunny in Fort Nelson, 14 with the sun out in Prince George. 0 with snow for Old Crow, snow and 8 in Whitehorse. +4 with the chance of rain in Yellowknife, 9 in Wrigley. -9 for Sax Harbor, 1 below in Colville Lake. -10 for Chesterfield and Whale Cove, -6 in Arviette. -21 in Resolute, 19 below in Igloo Lake. A hockey player from Mississippistick Cree Nation has made Canada's men's under-18 team and will be competing at the World Championships in a few weeks. With more on the rising star, here's Daryl Stranger.
Got it to Roulette. Roulette to the slot, fires, he shot, scores! Connor Roulette of the power play. Comes across.
Connor Roulette may only be 17 years old, but his skills on the ice have him touted as an elite NHL prospect. Roulette was one of 23 players recently named to the under-18 Canadian men's team to play at the U18 World Hockey Championships in Frisco, Texas. The Seattle Thunderbirds forward from Mississippiwistic Cree Nation in Manitoba says he's excited to wear the red and white jersey on the international stage.
Obviously, I was really, really excited. I texted my dad, my mom right after, and everyone. I kind of had to keep it on the down low for a bit, but once that all got out, I was just really happy and really excited. A lot of the people that kind of came up and with their support and kind of reached out to me and really meant a lot. And just all the people that have helped me get to where I am, and just really looking forward to getting there and playing.
Roulette's mother, Tanis Cook, says it wasn't easy seeing her child leave home at such a young age. She says she knew early on Connor would have to leave home, and it's eased her knowing he's having success doing what he loves.
I think I started preparing myself for him to move away at a young age, like a long time ago. And I mean, when somebody loves the game of hockey as much as Connor does, like me as a parent, as much as I miss him when he's here, I know that he's over there doing something that he absolutely loves, so it makes it a lot easier.
Roulette relishes the opportunity to be a role model for other Indigenous youth.
Just the support I get through is just so awesome, and to be in that role model setting, it's really good. I know there's a lot of kids out there that have reached out to me before that are Indigenous little kids, and it just feels so good. And just to be representing not only my family but every Indigenous kid in Canada, it's truly an honor, and it's just something I like to take pride in, really show it out and be proud of who I am.
Roulette is currently quarantining in Seattle before flying to Frisco, Texas, where the team will quarantine for another 4 days before the tournament kicks off there, April 26th. Daryl Stranger, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Awesome stuff, Connor. Good luck. A new episode of Face to Face is just minutes away. Our guest tonight is musician Leonard Sumner. Sumner just released his latest album, Thunderbird. He was also recently featured on APTN's Amplify series that lets a musician focus on an issue important to them. Sumner wrote a song to honor Tina Fontaine and Colton Bushy.
And I feel like to create the song, it gave me a sense, a little bit of justice for them, to let them know that they did, like, their lives were not in vain, that somebody still cares enough to think that they deserve justice, which a lot of our communities, everybody in our communities do, and a lot of the non-Indigenous communities do as well. And I think we know, like, it's important to speak out against injustices, and especially when we're speaking about our young people losing their lives.
And you can watch that entire episode in less than 2 minutes' time. That is all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Tuesday. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. And be sure to tune in tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time as Brittany Hobson is in the chair for In Focus. She'll be discussing eats and treats live at 3 p.m. Should be delicious. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.